Abandoned buildings hold more than just memories. They often conceal surprises, including horrifying encounters with mysterious creatures. From forgotten factories to deserted homes, these neglected structures can be home to various strange occupants. You never know what you will encounter while entering an abandoned amusement park or a dilapidated hospital. Just pray that whatever is inside doesn't consume you. Welcome to the channel, everyone. In today's video, we are walking down the roads towards vacated buildings. Join us as we venture into the world of deserted buildings and the creatures that inhabit them, uncovering the secrets hidden within their silent walls. If you're into stories like these, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Now let's get into the video. In 2017, a guy named Pete worked as an electrician in Baltimore, Maryland. He often had to go down into the basements and sub-basements of older buildings to install new lights or upgrade the existing lighting. Pete became good at spotting tunnels connecting the buildings, similarly like the hallways in a big hotel. One day, Pete had to put up some new lights in the underground levels of 3 old buildings next to each other. His boss, Mike, went with him. They started working in the basement of the building on the far right. Pete, who always liked to do a good job, quickly looked for the tunnel to help him move between the buildings easily. Once Pete and Mike found the tunnel, they started setting up their tools and getting to work. Pete was focused on his job, and before he knew it, he noticed that Mike was nowhere to be seen. He figured Mike had gone for a break. So Pete decided to look around the other basements while Mike was gone. He walked through the tunnels that connected the buildings and found something surprising. Pete was in the dark basements and used his flashlight to see. He found many tunnels going west, making the buildings seem much larger than he thought. Pete was really surprised by these extra tunnels and wanted to explore them. So he kept walking, getting more and more curious with each step. He realized the tunnels seemed never to end, connecting everything under the ground. In the depths of the underground maze, electrician Pete's routine exploration took a chilling turn as he ventured into a mysterious tunnel, lured by a voice that sounded just like his foreman, Mike. Convinced of Mike's presence, Pete descended through a winding passage unlike any he had encountered before, its eerie curvature leading him into a vast chamber adorned with a disturbing display of animal skeletons arranged in a peculiar formation. His anxiety only intensified as Pete's gaze fell upon a large, dog-like skeleton positioned at the center of the skeletal array. Yet, the beckoning call of Mike's voice from an unexplored tunnel urged him forward. With trepidation, Pete made his way across the bone-strewn chamber toward the uncharted passage, his senses heightened in anticipation of the shadowy unknown. As Pete entered the narrow tunnel, he started feeling increasingly scared. The passageway twisted and got tighter, making him feel even more trapped and worried. Even though he kept calling for Mike, no one answered. Pete didn't stop. He kept going, even though it was getting darker and quieter. Pete was also testing how brave he could be. Suddenly, Pete heard a strange clicking noise that broke the silence around him. It seemed like something was hiding in the shadows behind him. Pete felt really scared and quickly turned around to see what it was, but nothing was there. It was so quiet, which made Pete feel like something bad was about to happen. Then, out of nowhere, something started chasing him fast. But Pete couldn't see what it was. Pete ran as fast as he could through the narrow tunnel with something terrifying chasing him. He felt desperate, but his fear made him run even faster. He saw a metal door ahead, hoping it would lead him to safety. With all his strength, Pete pushed open the door and escaped just in time. The thing chasing him slammed into the door, but he couldn't get through. As the scary sounds faded away, Pete felt relieved to have a moment of safety. He leaned against the door, ready for whatever might come next in the dark underground world. When encountering a large, unfamiliar animal in the tunnel, Pete felt confused and frightened. He couldn't find his boss, Mike, who he thought had called him into the tunnel. Pete realized he was far from where he started, under the Four Seasons Hotel. When he called Mike, Mike said he hadn't gone into the tunnel or any other sub-basements. They thought it might have just been a stray dog that Pete saw. Even after leaving the building, Pete couldn't shake off the feeling of uneasiness. He kept wondering about the strange events he encountered underground. That night, he had trouble sleeping, haunted by visions of the mysterious tunnel and the eerie animal bones. The next day, Pete couldn't focus on his work. He kept replaying the events in his mind, trying to understand what he saw. Eventually, he shared his experience with a colleague, hoping for clarity. They discussed possible explanations together, but none fully accounted for the unsettling encounter. Pete couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, but for now, he resolved to put it behind him and focus on his job. In 2008, two brave friends decided to explore an old, deserted house everyone said was haunted. They thought it would be exciting to see if the rumors were true, but they had no idea what they were getting into. The house had been empty for years with broken windows and overgrown weeds. It looked really spooky, but the friends were determined to explore it anyway. They felt a chill run down their spines as they stepped into the house. The air was musty, and the floorboards creaked with every step they took. But they kept going, curious to see what they might find in the abandoned rooms. As they cautiously pushed open the creaking front door of the dilapidated mansion, a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the stale air. Suddenly, a grotesque creature emerged from the shadows, moving swiftly on all fours with an unnatural agility. Its eerie presence suggests an evil intent, as if it had been waiting for the unsuspecting boys to cross its path. The friends were terrified as they watched the creature move strangely, like a mix of an animal and a person. Its scary noises filled the air, making them feel even more afraid. They knew they were in danger. With fear rushing through them, the boys ran as fast as they could, desperate to escape the creature chasing them. Their footsteps echoed loudly in the old mansion, reminding them of the scary thing following close behind. These two friends loved exploring abandoned places together. They'd always been curious about old, forgotten buildings and often searched for them. Their friendship grew stronger with each adventure, as they shared the excitement of discovering hidden secrets and facing unexpected challenges. But this time, they found more than they bargained for in the haunted mansion. In the spooky corridors of the old mansion, the boys ran as fast as they could. The walls felt like they were closing in, and they could sense the creature getting closer with every step. Their hearts raced, and they could barely catch their breath. They knew they had to keep moving to escape whatever was chasing them. No matter how they turned, the corridors seemed to go on forever, making them feel lost and scared. But they didn't stop, fueled by fear and adrenaline. They could hear the creature's strange cries echoing behind them, urging them to run faster. Finally, they burst out of the mansion and collapsed on the ground, exhausted but relieved to be outside. They knew they had narrowly escaped something truly terrifying. The memory of what happened would stay with them for a long time, reminding them of the dangers that lurked in the darkness. As they collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath, the boys knew they had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. The memory of their harrowing ordeal would haunt them for years to come, a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in the abandoned mansion's darkness. But despite the fear and uncertainty that now clouded their minds, they also felt a sense of triumph, knowing they had faced their fears and emerged victorious. And as they looked up at the moonlit sky, they knew they would always cherish the bond forged in the fires of adversity, a friendship tested and proven strong in the face of unimaginable terror. Did you know that abandoned places often hold mysterious stories and eerie encounters? These locations are filled with history and intrigue, from haunted houses to forgotten factories. If you enjoy hearing about these creepy stories of abandoned places, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more spooky content just like this. Now, let's get into our final story. Exploring abandoned sites sometimes leads to unexpected encounters, one of which occurred in an old, decayed hospital. This creepy adventure occurred in the early 2000s when a Reddit user named Jim would spend his days exploring with his two best friends. Their favorite location was an abandoned hospital near where they resided, famed for its treasure trove of mystery. During one trip, Jim and his buddies decided to investigate the hospital's huge basement, which they had never been to previously. The basement had been flooded, rendering it inaccessible owing to the 4-foot-deep murky waters. However, their curiosity overcame them on this occasion, and they were determined to wade through the sluggish waters. Abandoned hospitals are places where sick people used to go to get better, but they can become spooky and mysterious when they're not used anymore. Sometimes, people say they're haunted because of all the strange things that happen there. But Jim and his friends weren't scared. They were excited to explore and see what they could find. Armed with only flashlights, Jim and the others climbed the steps into the basement. Each step creaked beneath their feet as they came to a halt on the bottom steps to survey their surroundings. They could only see a few shelves and what appeared to be a generator. However, the air seemed thick, and Jim got the unsettling sense that something was wrong. Unfazed, one of his buddies stepped on a submerged step, disturbing the strangely motionless water. Suddenly, they heard a massive splash from out in the dark beyond. It sounded like something large had crashed into the water. They retreated up the steps, terrified. They heard something chasing them down the dark basement passage as they approached the second story. Running as fast as they could, they sought safety on the hospital's roof. As they sat there breathing heavily, one of the boys tossed his flashlight down the steps, hoping to scare whatever was down there. Unfortunately, the scheme failed when the flashlight died in the water. The boys sat quietly, waiting for anything to happen. To their astonishment, nothing happened. Emboldened by young curiosity, or perhaps just simple foolishness, they ran back down the steps, splashing into the water and making a lot of noise. But as Jim pointed his flashlight down the pitch-black basement hallway, they were horrified. A gigantic silhouette appeared at the end of the hallway, resembling two enormous barrels tied together and floating on the water. With another massive splash, the barrel-like shape broke in two, and two figures approached them frighteningly. Jim quickly made his way out of the basement with his companions. Haunted by the unknown creatures they encountered, they never returned to that hospital. The real nature of what Jim and his pals encountered is still unknown, despite some theories suggesting that they were rabid animals or water-dwelling alligators. It's a terrifying reminder that abandoned locations sometimes conceal terrible mysteries and unexpected meetings. And that will conclude this video. If you liked this video, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon to receive the latest updates. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.